The story begins a few days ago in the slums. Panic erupts as a voice cries out a warning. Monsters are breaking through from the wasteland. The creatures, resembling rabid wolves, descend upon the helpless citizens. Their attack is swift and brutal, leaving no room for escape. Chaos floods the streets as everyone runs for their lives. Caught in the stampede is a young boy, desperately trying to keep from being trampled. This is Akira, a boy from the slums. As the chaos unfolds, his mind races, frantically searching for any kind of weapon to fight back. But the monsters weren't the only threat. To save his own skin, one man starts shooting at the other fleeing citizens, callously telling them to be good bait. Akira watches in horror. He'd seen it all before. People robbed, trampled, and left for dead, only to end up as monster food. But Akira refuses to accept that fate for himself. As he scrambles across the ground, he spots a gun lying near a body. Without a second's hesitation, he lunges for it, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope. But the moment he has the weapon, one of the wolf-like monsters looms over him, snarling and ready to strike. Akira is frozen with terror. The beast lunges forward, its massive jaws filled with rows of terrifying teeth, aiming to swallow him whole. The creature's teeth sink into his shoulder, and Akira lets out a pained scream. Despite the agonizing pain, Akira shoves the gun against the monster's side and pulls the trigger repeatedly, but the bullets barely seem to scratch it. He fires one last, desperate shot right into the creature's mouth. The beast recoils, and for a moment, Akira stares in shock, wondering if he actually managed to kill it. Suddenly, the monster is blown apart from the side. Standing over its remains is a heavily armed man. Akira looks up, realizing he must be a hunter. But the hunter isn't here to save him. He points his rifle at Akira, telling him that monster corpses are valuable relics, and this prize belongs to him. The hunter demands Akira hand over the pistol he found and get lost. But instead of complying, Akira clutches the gun tightly, refusing to let it go. In that moment, something inside Akira snaps. He realizes he can't keep running. If he wants to survive, he needs to become a hunter himself and claw his way out of this hellhole. The world is ruled from Kagamaima City. Its massive walls protect the elite in the city center from the deadly wastelands that surround them. Poor folks like Akira are left to die in the slums outside those walls. For them, there's only one way to escape their grim reality: become a hunter. To do that, one must venture into the wasteland to find ruins of the old world. It's a dangerous journey, but the relics found there are said to be worth a fortune. It's rumored that finding just one good relic is enough to earn a hunter a place inside the city walls. Fueled by this hope, Akira pushes onward, finally arriving at one of the ruins. He arrives at his destination, Kuzu-Sahara Town, a sprawling ghost town of crumbling skyscrapers and forgotten streets. Akira steps cautiously through the ruins, the weight of the silence pressing down on him as he scans the desolate landscape. Clutching his new hunter ID, he reaffirms his mission. This is his first day on the job, and he's not leaving without a relic. But his determination is cut short when a group of men suddenly surround him, snatching the ID from his hand. They're muggers. The leader presses a gun to Akira's head, demanding his pistol, while the others size him up, noting he doesn't look like he has anything of value. The men begin to beat him mercilessly. The leader mocks him, calling him a Jireh, and sneering that playing hunter was the last mistake he'll ever make. They laugh at the idea that a scrap of paper from the hunter office makes him a real hunter. Spitting blood, Akira glares back. Through swollen lips, he growls that his name is Akira, not a Jireh. The muggers only laugh harder, realizing the name on his ID is a typo, and that he's likely a slum kid who can't even read. As they demand he hand over his things, Akira's eyes drift past them. A stunning, completely naked woman has appeared out of thin air, and he can't look away. She stands there, bathed in a faint glow, looking directly at him. The muggers, however, seem completely oblivious to her presence. Akira stares, mesmerized by the ethereal figure before him. Barely able to speak, he asks the glowing woman if she's a hunter. Her eyes widen in surprise. She leans in, her voice echoing in his mind as she asks in disbelief, "Can you see me?" The muggers, seeing Akira talking to thin air, become agitated. Thinking he's losing his mind, Akira points his gun back at them, shouting not to move. But he can't understand. Why can't they see her? His strange behavior puts the muggers on edge. They start to wonder if he's seeing some kind of ghost from the old world. Suddenly, the mysterious woman grabs Akira's hand, forcing the barrel of his gun against her own temple. She gives him a chilling ultimatum. If he wants to live, he has to dive into a building within the next 10 seconds. Then, she fires his gun into the air. Akira is speechless. As he struggles to understand what's happening, the woman begins a calm, steady countdown, ignoring the confused muggers completely. Remembering her words, Akira doesn't wait to find out what happens at 0. He makes a split-second decision to trust the ghost woman, firing a parting shot at the muggers as he sprints away. The muggers curse as they see him getting away. But just as he's about to escape, Akira is suddenly thrown forward by an invisible force. A massive explosion rips through the spot where he was just standing, catching the unsuspecting muggers in a fiery blast and sending Akira flying through the air. Akira lands with a thud, shaken but alive. He looks up to see the woman standing over him again. She looks down at him and says, "Well, I guess you pass." In a flash of light, her form changes. No longer naked, she's now dressed in a strange and stylish outfit. With a smile, she introduces herself. "I'm Alpha. Nice to meet you." Still trying to process everything, Akira sits exhausted on the floor as Alpha instructs him to climb the stairs to the roof. She continues her countdown, and another massive explosion rips through the floor below them. Akira looks back in shock, realizing the countdown wasn't a bluff. Finally reaching the rooftop, Akira catches his breath and begs Alpha to explain what is going on. She just smiles and cheekily calls him a Gyra again. She proudly tells him that her perfect support just saved him from a weapon dog attack and tells him to look over the ledge. Down below, a pack of terrifying canine-like monsters prowls the area. Each one has a Gatling gun growing out of its back. Alpha explains they are weapon dogs, bioengineered security monsters from the old world. Akira is floored. Before she goes on, he demands to know exactly what she is. He looks at her ethereal form and asks if she's a ghost. Alpha denies it, explaining that she's actually a type of augmented reality from the old world. The technical term goes right over Akira's head. She simplifies it for him, saying she's basically hacking his brain to make him see and hear her. To demonstrate, she pokes him in the head, leaving him even more confused. Getting down to business, Alpha leans in close and says that since he's a hunter, she has a job for him. She tells him there's a ruin that she needs him to conquer. Akira nervously asks which one, hoping it's somewhere he can actually reach. Alpha is blunt, admitting the job is extremely dangerous and he would likely die on his own. But she offers her flawless support as an advance payment, guaranteeing he'll succeed. As a reward, she promises him a fortune in relics. For a moment, Akira is stunned into silence by the incredible offer. The thought of that much money is tantalizing, but his expression quickly hardens. He looks her dead in the eye, thanks her for saving him, and then completely rejects her offer. Alpha is taken aback. Akira explains that this whole mess has reminded him of why he became a hunter. He flashes back to his life in the slums, where people constantly tricked him with false promises of food or a safe life inside the city walls. Time and time again, he was fooled, robbed, and left for dead in the rubble, losing what little he had. With newfound conviction burning in his eyes, he tells Alpha that he will never let anyone exploit him ever again. Alpha scoffs, telling him he just used up a lifetime of luck to get an offer this good. But Akira is resolute. He knew the risks when he came to the ruins, and if he dies, then he dies. Seeing his unshakable resolve, Alpha's expression softens slightly. She's not giving up, but decides to try a different tactic. She offers a compromise, a trial period. She'll help him out for a while, no strings attached. If he decides he can trust her down the line, they can make a formal contract then. Akira considers her proposal. He agrees, but with one condition. The moment he feels even the slightest bit of suspicion, their deal is off. They have an agreement. Alpha accepts his terms, but adds a condition of her own. He must promise to always follow her instructions. She warns him with a smile that even with her support, he'll die if he disobeys. Akira understands the stakes and agrees. With the deal set, Alpha lays out their first objective. To escape the building, he must get past the pack of weapon dog below. She claims they're predictable, but Akira has no idea how he could possibly do that. Alpha simply leads him back down into the ruins, heading straight for the danger. Peeking through a crack in the wall, Akira watches the monsters. Alpha give him his first instruction, and it's insane. Run straight through the pack, as fast as possible, and don't look back. Akira is terrified, knowing a single burst from their guns would tear him to pieces. Alpha reminds him of their deal and shouts for him to run. With no other choice, Akira grits his teeth, his face a mask of terror as he dashes out into the open. He screams as he sprints through the rubble, the monstrous dogs immediately giving chase. Alpha's spectral form floats just ahead of the dogs, taunting them. They take the bait, focusing their fire on her. A torrent of bullets passes harmlessly through her body. The area around her projection is shredded by gunfire, but she remains completely untouched. The dogs empty their magazines, and for a moment, the battlefield falls silent. Alpha smirks, taunting them for running out of ammo so quickly. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts from within the pack, sending several of the monsters flying. Alpha sees her opening. From the smoke and debris, an even larger, more terrifying monster emerges, letting out a ferocious roar. The giant beast stomps forward, its glowing eyes scanning the area before locking onto a new target. This new monster is a true titan, covered in armor and bristling with heavy weaponry. Akira panics, shouting to Alpha for answers. She calmly reminds him that hesitation will lead to death, just as they discussed. She leans in close, her voice soft but firm, and makes him a promise. Don't worry, Akira. I won't let you die. Alpha immediately starts rattling off a series of complex instructions. Turn back, run with your back to the wall for 5 seconds, stop for 3, then get ready to fire. Akira questions what good his tiny pistol could possibly do, but he follows her orders. He sprints through the ruins as Alpha begins another countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2. He follows her command perfectly, skidding to a halt, spinning around, and raising his gun just as she instructed. 1, 0. And, right on cue, the colossal monster lunges out of the dust. Its single, massive eye fills Akira's entire vision. A perfect, unmissable target lined up with the barrel of his gun. Screaming at the top of his lungs, Akira unloads the entire clip, firing every last bullet directly into the monster's eye at point-blank range. The monster's eye shatters under the barrage of bullets, and it lets out an unearthly roar as the recoil sends Akira flying backward. The colossal beast crashes to the ground, its massive body shaking the ruins one last time. Akira watches from the ground, stunned but alive. He scrambles back to his feet, cautiously keeping his empty pistol aimed at the fallen monster, ready in case it moves again. Alpha appears beside him and congratulates him on a job well done. Still in disbelief, Akira asks if he really killed it, unable to comprehend how his small handgun took down such a giant. Alpha simply remarks that the monster had a tiny brain. She then gets right in his face, reminding him that the only reason he succeeded was because he had her flawless support. Her spectral form playfully surrounds him, asking if he's ready to trust her now. She teases that a little thank you wouldn't hurt either. Akira can only stand there, exhausted and overwhelmed. Finally, he relents. With genuine gratitude, Akira thanks her. Alpha smiles, pleased with his answer, and immediately tries to push her main contract again. But Akira holds his ground, telling her he still needs more time to think things over. Amidst the ruins of a fallen city, Alpha announces that the immediate threats are gone. She calls out to Akira, who cautiously emerges from the wreckage. Akira is stunned to learn that Alpha is not real, but an augmented reality projection, a ghost from the old world. Seeing his hesitation, she offers him a choice: continue hunting for valuable relics with her help, or return home empty-handed. Akira is torn, knowing nothing about this mysterious girl or her offer. With renewed determination, Akira decides he can't turn back. He has to find a relic, no matter the risk. Alpha quietly listens, a faint smile on her face. Alpha moves in close, her cheerful demeanor doing little to comfort Akira. She happily agrees to his decision, but warns him that from here on, the ruins will only become more dangerous, causing him to tense up. With a wink, Alpha tells Akira to follow her lead. She promises to guide him to safety, but only if he obeys her every command without question. Suddenly, her tone shifts. "Hide!" she screams. Akira immediately dives for cover behind a concrete slab, startled by her warning of nearby enemies. "Akira stays hidden. Going foot." He scans the area, but sees nothing. Alpha stands perfectly still in the open, as if waiting for something he can't perceive. Without warning, Alpha orders him to run, instructing him to keep his back to the wall and move slowly. Akira, trusting her command, breaks into a desperate sprint across the rubble. Alpha's strange instructions continue, now telling him to climb onto a nearby ledge. As he dashes forward, Akira realizes with a start that she's leading him back the way they just came. He forces his way through a narrow gap, panting with exhaustion. But just as he catches his breath, Alpha tells him to turn around and go back, leaving him completely baffled. Akira finally voices his frustration, asking why they're just turning around after all that running. Alpha calmly explains that this is the cost of avoiding danger. But Akira remains doubtful. He doesn't see or hear anything threatening ahead. Hesitantly, Akira peeks out from his cover to survey the path forward. Just as he suspected, the area is completely deserted. There's nothing there. But before he can take a single step into the open, Alpha lets out a frantic scream, her face twisted in alarm as she yells for him to get back immediately. The moment he flinches back, the supposedly empty space erupts in a storm of electrical energy, stopping Akira dead in his tracks. Before his very eyes, a colossal, heavily armed mech materializes out of thin air. The invisible monster now stands before him, revealed by the crackling energy field. Akira's eyes widen in sheer terror as he stares up at the mechanical beast. Its weapon systems immediately power on, twin cannons glowing as they lock onto his position. The mech opens fire, unleashing a torrent of explosive rounds that tear through the ruins with deafening force. Akira is thrown helplessly into the air by the force of the explosions. He screams as the very ground he was about to step on is completely annihilated. The massive machine hovers over the crater it created, its optical sensor whirring as it scans the debris for any sign of its target. Finding nothing, its active camouflage engages once more. The robot flickers and vanishes, becoming an invisible predator lurking in the smoke and dust. The shockwave slams Akira into the ground. He cries out in agony, his body battered and bleeding from the blast as he lies amidst the fresh devastation. Shaken, Akira manages to sit up and call out for Alpha. She appears before him, stating that it's a miracle he's still alive and admitting that if she hadn't drawn the robot's fire, he would have been killed. Alpha explains that the area is patrolled by robotic monsters with active camouflage, making it extremely unsafe. She then notices his injuries and insists on taking a look. When Akira apologizes for doubting her, she asks why he didn't just say so if he was unhappy with her instructions. Her expression softens as she looks at him. She acknowledges that it's hard to trust someone you've just met, but reminds him that she would be in serious trouble if he were to die. Leaning in closer, Alpha makes him a solemn promise. She will do everything in her power to keep him alive. She stares into his eyes, urging him to, if nothing else, at least believe that she is committed to his survival. Feeling hopeless, Akira mutters that he'll never become a good hunter at this rate. Seizing the opportunity, Alpha pushes him to accept her contract, promising to handle everything for him except his own will and resolve. Akira clenches his fist, his determination flaring up. He reminds himself that he chose this path to get rich and that he can't get anywhere if he loses his motivation now. With a deep breath, he finally relents. "Fine," he says, agreeing to her terms. The pain from his injuries immediately shoots through him, causing him to wince. Pushing through the pain, Akira clarifies the terms of their deal. He will be responsible for his own will and resolve. Alpha will handle the rest. Their contract is finally sealed. Now that they have an agreement, Alpha asks if he's able to walk. She tells him to follow her deeper into the ruin, explaining that she has an idea. She leads him to a massive, hidden chamber filled with dormant, giant mechs. There on the floor is a spilled container, the contents scattered everywhere. Alpha points it out as the relic she was searching for. Alpha explains that it's old-world medicine. She instructs Akira to swallow about 10 pills, but for his external wounds, he'll need to open a capsule and sprinkle the nanomachines directly on them. She warns him that this method, while faster, will be far more painful. As soon as the medicine touches his wounds, Akira is thrown back by a wave of unimaginable pain. He writhes and screams as the nanites violently stitch his body back together. After what feels like an eternity, the agonizing process finally ends. Akira lies on the floor, exhausted and trembling, but his wounds have completely vanished. Sometime later, Akira's eyes flutter open. He's startled to find Alpha sitting suggestively close to him, asking if he slept well. Years of slum instincts take over. Panicked, Akira scrambles backward, pulling his gun and aiming it at the mysterious figure he woke up next to. Alpha playfully asks if she startled him. Akira, still on edge, explains that in his experience, waking up next to a stranger usually means he's being robbed. It's only then that he looks down at his arms and realizes his injuries are completely healed, amazed that the recovery capsules actually worked. Still marveling at the effects of the old-world medicine, Akira gets to his feet. Alpha cheekily suggests they borrow a few more relics, but he wisely refuses, deciding not to get greedy when the way home is still fraught with danger. They gather the valuable medical supplies and a peculiar knife they found nearby. After a quick inspection of the strange blade, they decide to call a day. With their haul secured, they finally leave the ruins and begin their journey back to the city. As they walk through the bustling lower district, Akira realizes no one else is reacting to Alpha's flashy, revealing outfit. She confirms that only he can see or hear her and warns him to be careful, as he currently looks like a crazy person talking to himself. The scene shifts to the grim reality of the slums. Dozens of gaunt, hollow-eyed children and desperate adults are scattered about, a stark reminder of the poverty Akira is trying to escape. Finally, they arrive at the relic exchange, operated by the Hunter office. Surrounded by other hungry children, Akira clutches his findings, his expression a mixture of determination and hope as he wonders if he'll get 10, or maybe even 50,000 orum. He steps inside the exchange, awed by the sophisticated interior and the intimidating presence of other, more seasoned hunters. He makes his way to the counter, ready to cash in. But his hopes are instantly crushed. The payment for his entire haul of relics slides onto the counter, a mere 300 orum. Akira stares at the coins in disbelief. He protests, arguing that it's not even enough to pay for a single meal. The officer coldly tells him to take his hunter ID and his business elsewhere, misreading his name as Akira. The other hunters in the room begin to laugh, telling the brat to get lost. Humiliated and furious, Akira snaps. His hand goes to his gun, his eyes burning with rage as he glares at the jeering crowd around him. Just as his finger tightens on the trigger, Alpha's voice cuts through his anger. "Akira, no," she warns, placing a hand on his to stop him from making a fatal mistake. The officer explains the cold, hard rule of the exchange. Rank 1 hunters with no reputation and no history get a pre-appraisal of 300 orum for their first sale. No exceptions. He tells Akira he should be grateful they're paying anything for potential junk. Defeated, Akira lets go of his gun. With his face hidden by shadows, he quietly vows that he's going to claw his way up from the bottom. The officer informs him the final payment won't be ready until tomorrow anyway, and he should come back with something else to sell. Akira looks up, his eyes blazing with a newfound resolve. He stares directly at the officer and promises, "Count on it." The officer gives a smug grin, reminding Akira that they recognize hunters by their ID. If he loses it, he'll be back at square one, a nobody once again. As Akira and the invisible Alpha turn to leave, the officer gives them a condescending farewell. The other hunters watch them go, their expressions full of contempt. Having earned barely anything, Akira finds himself at a slum ration center. People line up for free synthetic food, which onlookers gossip is made from dodgy machinery and possibly even monster meat. Akira sits on the ground, forcing himself to eat the questionable-looking meal. Alpha warns him about the suspicious ingredients, but he simply replies that he's broke, so it's either this or nothing. After finishing his meager meal, Akira declares it's time to make some real money. Alpha enthusiastically agrees, reminding him that since he's still in his trial period, she will help him. With renewed purpose, the pair heads back into the sprawling, desolate landscape of the Kuzuzahara town ruins. As they walk, Akira is surprised to see that Alpha has changed her outfit to an elegant white dress. He asks her why, and she floats playfully, asking if the new look doesn't suit her. Alpha teases him, asking if he was hinting that he'd rather see her in something else. Akira bluntly says that while she looks fine, he preferred the outfit she wore when they first met. Her smile suggests she finds his opinion interesting. Twisting his words, Alpha cheekily decides to grant his wish. She instantly changes her form, appearing completely naked before him. Akira panics, flailing his arms and screaming at her to change back and keep her clothes on. Still flustered, Akira demands to know why Alpha changed her outfit. She explains that she hijacks the augmented reality data broadcast by old-world facilities to make herself visible, and her appearance is designed for the same reason she was naked when they first met, to get a reaction. Alpha clarifies that anyone with the right equipment can see her, which means her revealing outfits are meant to provoke them. The realization hits Akira like a ton of bricks. Someone with special equipment is nearby, watching them. Alpha confirms his fears with a simple yes. Her expression becomes deadly serious as she warns him, "Whatever you do, don't look back." In the darkness of the ruins, two pairs of glowing eyes watch their every move. Alpha warns that they are being observed as they speak. Their stalkers are revealed, two menacing hunters, armed to the teeth and shrouded in darkness. Akira panics, hoping it's just a misunderstanding. But Alpha is certain they've been followed this whole time. She speculates that the hunters either saw him at the exchange or bought information about him. Either way, their goal is clear. They want to steal his finds. Alpha gives Akira a grim ultimatum. Treat this situation with the seriousness it deserves, or he will die. The weight of this new threat presses down on Akira as Alpha instructs him to enter a nearby building and act natural. Once inside, Akira desperately asks how they're going to lose the hunters. He thinks Alpha is crazy when she calmly states that they aren't going to run. Instead, they're going to fight and give their pursuers a taste of their own medicine. With a predatory smile, Alpha sees this as an opportunity. She proposes a deal. With her support, he can take them. If they win, he has to seriously consider a contract. Akira hesitates, weighing his options. Akira is still terrified, questioning if they even stand a chance. Alpha tells him bluntly that if he can't handle a little scrape like this, he'll never make it as a hunter. Seeing his doubt, she promises to give him her full support. Alpha moves close, whispering for him to steel himself. She reminds him of their earlier agreement. His will and resolve are his responsibility. Recalling his promise, Akira takes a deep breath his expression hardening as he grips his gun. With his resolve solidified, Akira looks up, his eyes burning with determination. He declares that he will take care of his will and resolve, ready to face the fight ahead. Pleased with his answer, Alpha winks and points forward. "And everything else is mine," she says, taking charge of the battle plan. "Let's go, Akira." As they move into position, Alpha confidently tells Akira that once he witnesses the power of her support, he'll be begging to seal their contract. Meanwhile, the two hunters, Kwahome and Haya, observe from a distance. Haya questions if his partner is sure he saw a woman with the brat. Kwahome, peering through his cybernetic goggles, confirms it, saying his eyes are picking up some kind of old-world data. Kwahome's second-hand AR viewers are acting up, but they're still showing him the mysterious woman. Haya recalls a spooky local legend about the Kuzusahara ruins, a story of ghosts from the old world that only certain people can see. Haya connects the dots with a wicked grin. He theorizes the slum kid has an AR guide leading him straight to valuable relics. This matches the legend of the alluring specter, a ghost that tempts hunters with treasure before killing them. Kwahome realizes that the kid might have even started the rumor himself to eliminate competition. Haya suggests they let the brat and his ghost give them a guided tour before they take everything. They decide to split up. Haya will stand watch outside, while Kwahome, who can see the ghost, will head in. Kwahome cracks his knuckles, eager for the hunt. As Akira enters the building, Haya watches from his hiding spot. He has a bad feeling, unable to shake the sense that this is a trap, but he tells himself he's probably just worrying for nothing. Kwahome cautiously enters the dark, dilapidated building, rifle at the ready. He takes a few steps inside and suddenly lets out a startled cry. Upon entering, Kwahome immediately spots the ethereal figure of Alpha standing at the top of a grand staircase. He radios his partner, Haya, telling him he's found the woman. Haya asks if the kid is with her. Kwahome scans the area and reports that she appears to be alone, but warns Haya to stay alert since the brat could be hiding nearby. Distracted by Alpha's appearance, Kwahome mutters to himself that the legend of the alluring specter was right. He then sees her turn and move quickly down a corridor and gives chase, wondering where she's going. Meanwhile, on a floor above, Akira waits in ambush. He pants from exertion, his gun held steady as he overlooks the hallway below. Akira goes over the plan in his head. Alpha will make herself visible just long enough for him to fire 3 shots. As he hears Kwahome's heavy footsteps approaching, he braces himself, preparing to spring the trap. A close-up on Kwahome's cybernetic eyes shows his intense focus, completely unaware of the danger lurking above him. Kwahome cautiously rounds the corner, his rifle pointed at Alpha's shimmering form as she stands motionless at the end of the hall. As he gets closer, Alpha's projection turns to face him. Kwahome is taken aback, both startled and impressed by how lifelike the ghost appears. From his vantage point, Akira watches the scene unfold, his heart pounding. He grips his gun tightly, silently urging Alpha to give him the signal to attack. Kwahome reaches out, his hand passing straight through Alpha's body. He's frustrated that he can't touch her, but is captivated by how real she seems. As he's completely distracted, Akira takes aim, but Alpha's voice rings in his head. "Not yet, Akira." Ignoring her command, Akira leaps from his hiding spot and opens fire. But his shots go wild, missing Kwahome completely and sparking against the far wall. Kwahome is stunned by the unexpected ambush. Furious, Kwahome whips around, cursing the little brat who managed to get the drop on him. He raises his rifle, ready to retaliate. Over the radio, Haya hears the gunshots and demands to know what's happening. Kwahome admits the brat ambushed him while he was distracted by the woman. Haya explodes, calling him a bonehead and shouting that he knew it was a trap. Kwahome points out that the ghost is still standing there calmly. Haya quickly deduces that the kid must be using her as a lure. Kwahome is surprised to learn the ghost can follow commands. An idea forms in Haya's mind. He tells Kwahome to use the ghost to turn the tables on the little punk. A wicked grin spreads across Kwahome's face as he realizes the potential of this new strategy. Meanwhile, Akira has retreated upstairs, panting and frustrated. He can't believe he missed at point-blank range. Alpha appears and scolds him for not following her instructions, asking about the wound he sustained from the ricochet. Akira apologizes, admitting he got cocky and thought he had a clear shot. Wincing in pain, he pulls out one of the recovery capsules and applies it to his wound, gritting his teeth as the nanomachines burn. Alpha simply tells him to stick to the plan next time. Alpha lays out the next part of the plan. She will lead the hunter to Akira's position, but warns him that it will be risky. Sweat dripping down his face, Akira agrees through clenched teeth, reminding her that resolve is his part of the job. With their new strategy in place, a cold, determined smile spreads across Alpha's face. She tells Akira to leave the rest to her, promising that this time they will kill him. The hunt resumes. Alpha's projection glides down a ruined corridor, luring Kwahom deeper into the building. She points toward a dark, open doorway, and his attention snaps to it. His rifle trained on the opening, he cautiously approaches, sensing his prey is finally cornered. As Kwahom approaches the room, he notices fresh bloodstains on the floor leading inside. Believing the brat is wounded and cornered, a triumphant grin spreads across his face. Found him, he thinks. Letting out a wild, maniacal laugh, Kwahom raises his rifle, ready to finish the job. He charges into the room, unleashing a torrent of bullets and screaming drop dead. Outside, Haya hears the gunfire and calls out in alarm, asking what's going on. But the room is completely empty. Kwahom stops, stunned. He spins around to face Alpha's projection, screaming in fury. What the hell? You said he was in here. As he turns, he feels the cold steel of a gun barrel press against his head. But the gun seems to materialize out of thin air, emerging directly from Alpha's chest. A deafening blast erupts at point-blank range. The bullet rips through Kwahom's head, the impact sending a spray of blood and bone into the air. Kwahom stumbles backward, his mind reeling in confusion. I got shot, he gasps, coughing up blood. He knows she's just an image, a ghost that can't touch him. Yet the searing pain in his head is undeniably real. The illusion shatters. Alpha's form flickers, revealing Akira standing perfectly inside her projection, his smoking gun held steady. He was hidden in plain sight the entire time. In his final moments, Kwahom understands. Alpha wasn't just a lure, she was the perfect camouflage. The entire encounter was an elaborate trap, with her ghostly image layered perfectly over the boy. Akira stands over the dying hunter, his face cold and empty. With his last breath, Kwahom finally comprehends the true terror of the legend. As he falls, Akira stands over his body, guns still raised, while the ghostly form of the alluring specter swirls around him, her mission complete. With Alpha at his side, Akira fires his weapon. The bullet finds its mark, and the hunter's head explodes in a gruesome spray. The heavily armored body of the hunter crashes to the floor, lifeless. Akira stands over him, pistol still aimed. Elsewhere in the ruins, the hunter's partner hears the commotion. Seeing the devastation, he screams out in rage and disbelief for his fallen comrade, Haya. But there's no time to waste. Alpha calmly instructs Akira to loot the body for any useful gear, then toss it out the window. Akira is a bit surprised by the cold command, but Alpha simply confirms it's the right move and tells him to hurry. Without another word, Akira starts dragging the corpse across the floor, leaving a bloody trail in its wake. Haya's partner pieces it together. The gunshots meant his partner had been taken down. He clenches his jaw, realizing contact is lost. Just then, he sees Haya's body being thrown from the building. He grits his teeth in fury, mistaking the act as a taunt from the killer. Veins pop on his forehead as he seethes with rage, swearing that whoever did this is going to pay. Meanwhile, Alpha initiates the next phase of her plan, telling Akira to take out a specific knife they had found, one she had previously told him not to sell. Akira worries that using his handgun on the knife will break it, but Alpha assures him this relic is their key to killing the other hunter. She offers him a backup plan, just as a gunshot echoes from outside, signaling the enemy's approach. The mohawked hunter notices Haya's terminal is on the move. Figuring the kid must be with Alpha, he deduces that tracking the terminal will lead him right to them, and he sprints down the hallway. But Alpha is one step ahead. She reveals with a smirk that while he can track them, she can also track him. The hunter has unknowingly walked right into her trap. Rounding a corner, the hunter finds the terminal lying on the floor. He immediately suspects a trap, but a quick scan of the empty corridor reveals nowhere for an enemy to hide. He creeps forward cautiously, certain that an ambush in this long, open space would be impossible. Suddenly, a tremendous crash shakes the entire building as a massive force slices through the structure from the outside. The hunter freezes as the walls around him begin to crack and crumble from the immense power of the attack. He looks up, his eyes widening in shock as the ceiling gives way, debris raining down all around him. In a flash, his face contorts in terror as he sees a shimmering blade of energy sliding right through the wall toward him. Before he can even scream, the attack hits him. His body is instantly obliterated in a violent explosion of blood and gore. From the hole he created, Akira unleashes the knife's true power. A blinding beam of energy erupts from the blade, slicing through the air and striking the hunter down before he can react. Akira stares in shock at the power he just wielded. The job done, the relic knife disintegrates into dust. Alpha appears, smiling, and reassures a stunned Akira that the threat is gone and it's safe now. As he vaults back inside, Akira asks what that incredible weapon was. Alpha explains it was an old-world knife that they overrode the safety on, allowing for one single use at maximum power. While looting the second hunter's corpse, Akira marvels at the power of old-world relics. Alpha uses the moment to give him a grim warning. Someday, someone might use a similar weapon to slice him in half through a wall, too. She then adds with a playful smile that he should remember her support made it all possible, and he's free to shower her with thanks anytime. Looking over the carnage, Akira gives her a genuine thank you, admitting that without her, he would undoubtedly be dead. Elsewhere, other hunters gossip in the ruins. They talk about a massive weapon dog corpse being found nearby, something that shouldn't be so far from the deeper parts of the wasteland. One of them dismisses the idea of it being lured, joking that maybe a ghost did it. He even brings up a local ghost story about an alluring specter, ironically describing Alpha without realizing it. His mission complete, Akira returns to the Kagamaima City Lower District, heading for the Hunter Office's relic exchange with Alpha floating by his side. As he walks through the streets, he's spotted by other hunters who recognize him. They're surprised to see the kid back again, having assumed he wouldn't last long. At the exchange, the officer remarks that this new relic seems iffy, questioning if Akira just got lucky last time. Akira stands his ground, demanding payment. The officer begins to calculate the total. The final calculation comes to 200,000 orum. The number leaves Akira completely speechless, his eyes wide with disbelief as he begins to tremble. Akira panics, thinking 200,000 orum is a massive fortune. But Alpha calmly tells him to cool down, dismissing it as mere pocket change, and warning him he won't last long if a sum like that rattles him. Akira grumbles that it's easy for her to say, but Alpha states that part of her support is teaching him how to spend his earnings wisely. And first on the list, getting a hotel room to recover. They arrive at a hotel that's a world away from the slums. Akira sits awkwardly on the bed, admitting that the huge, clean room is making him nervous. Akira can't believe the room costs 20,000 orum a night. Alpha casually flops onto the bed, reminding him that he can't exactly sleep in an alley now that he's carrying a small fortune. Leaning in close, Alpha changes her tone, asking if he'd like to sample some of her non-combat support, suggesting they start with a nice, relaxing bath. The word bath changes everything. Having lived his whole life in filth, Akira's eyes light up, and he jumps to his feet with pure, unadulterated joy. Sinking into the warm water, Akira forgets all about the cost. For a boy from the slums, this simple luxury feels absolutely incredible. But his moment of peace is shattered when Alpha materializes right in the tub with him, completely naked. With a seductive smile, she leans close and asks, "How's the water?" Akira, flustered, asks why his virtual companion is naked. Alpha simply retorts that no one wears clothes in a bath and teases him, noting that her nude body doesn't seem to be sparking his interest. Embarrassed, Akira quickly gets out of the tub. Alpha warns him not to doze off, telling him to save his sleeping for the bed. Standing before her, Akira's demeanor changes. He looks her in the eye and declares that he'll take the job. He will conquer the ruin she wants him to explore. Alpha asks if he's truly willing to trust her. Akira admits he is for the most part, but he knows he's too weak right now. He asks if she will wait until he gets stronger. Alpha agrees to his terms. With a gentle smile, she says that their first step will be getting him some proper equipment. Later that night, for the first time in his life, Akira sleeps soundly in a soft, comfortable bed. The next morning, he wakes up with a jolt, momentarily forgetting where he is. Alpha is already there to greet him, telling him to get something to eat so they can go shopping for new gear. Following her lead, Akira arrives at a hunting supply shop in the lower district called Cartridge Freak. A woman with a warm smile greets him from behind the counter. She introduces herself as Shizuka, the shop's proprietor. Shizuka looks the boy over, noting that he seems like a hunter, but also a poor kid from the slums. Akira gets straight to business, asking to buy an rifle and to sell his old equipment. As Akira prepares to sell his salvaged rifle, Alpha advises him to buy a new one instead, since he'll be using it for a long time. Shizuka inspects the old gun and agrees to factor its trade-in value into the price of a new one. The new rifle and supplies come to 100,000 orum. As she hands it over, Shizuka explains that the is a reliable masterpiece. She then pulls out some protective clothes and suggests he try them on. Shizuka helps him into the new gear. She notes that the clothes are a bit big on his small frame, but nothing a few adjustments can't fix. Akira stares, amazed by the quality. Seeing his reaction, Shizuka decides to throw in the clothes for free, claiming they're too old to sell. When Akira hesitates, she winks and tells him he can pay her back by becoming a regular customer. Beaming, Akira thanks her for everything and leaves the shop. Shizuka watches him go, quietly hoping the young hunter will survive long enough to keep his promise. Back in the hotel room, Akira practices with his new rifle, determined to do his best. Alpha reminds him they have a formal contract, but he remains silent, questioning if he can truly trust her. He thinks back to the ruins. He knows Alpha wants him to explore that place for her, and she did promise to keep him alive. Still, he can't shake the feeling that she's as shady as ever. His resolve hardens. He realizes that if Alpha ever finds a stronger hunter who can also see her, she might just ditch him. To prevent that, he vows to claw his way up and become stronger. As if reading his thoughts, Alpha interrupts him. She tells him to listen carefully, as they need to get to the most important part of their agreement. Her form flickers, and the friendly demeanor vanishes. She formally asks for permission to perform diverse operations on him without prior consent, including accessing his personal information, all to provide more sophisticated support. Akira is left stunned and speechless. Akira is bombarded with an overwhelming flood of complex legal jargon. Alpha explains that it would take him 120 years to gain even a general comprehension of the regulations he is about to agree to. The sheer volume of information is designed to be incomprehensible. Alpha repeats her core question one last time. May she perform diverse operations on him without prior consent to provide more sophisticated support? The question hangs in the air, marking a major turning point. Her request hangs in the air, her eyes glowing with intensity. Permission to act without his consent or explanation. Akira, still kneeling on the floor, processes the weight of her words. He looks up at her ethereal form and repeats the question, confirming he understands the gravity of what she's asking. Alpha's response is simple and direct, her gaze unwavering as she looks down at him. Yes. Akira makes his decision. After a brief moment of silence, he looks up and says, "I accept." The tension breaks. Alpha lets out a quiet sigh of relief, her intimidating aura vanishing as she floats down to the bed. Returning to her usual friendly appearance, Alpha thanks him and reassures him that he's in good hands. Akira, having already made his peace with the deal, simply says it's all good. Alpha explains that their new contract unlocks a broader range of support, including a new ability, telepathy. She tells him to try talking to her using only his mind. Akira is shocked when she responds to his mental call. Alpha explains that telepathy allows for invaluable, instantaneous communication, something that will be crucial in the heat of battle. Akira can only say, wow. With the contract settled, they head out into the wasteland. Now clad in a military-style uniform, Alpha announces the next phase of his training, firing support. Alpha tells him to aim for a tiny pebble 100 meters away. Akira is confused, but then his vision suddenly changes. A targeting interface appears in his sight, and he realizes Alpha has augmented his vision. She explains the new features. His vision can now zoom in, a green border shows his focus area, and a red outline highlights the target he needs to hit. Alpha also shows him a blue line predicting his bullet's trajectory. Akira takes the shot, but the recoil throws off his aim, and he misses. Alpha's tone becomes stern. She reminds him that out here, he'll be shooting at monsters, not pebbles, and he needs to aim more carefully. Alpha then lightens the mood, teasingly asking if he was distracted because the shopkeeper who gave him his outfit was his type. She quickly moves on, confirming he now understands the basics of his new abilities before promising that even more powerful support will come later. While Akira practices, Alpha reviews their deal. He is to conquer a dangerous ruin for her, and his payment will be a fortune in relics. Her support is merely an advance on that payment, and with a wink, she tells him not to forget it. When she asks if he has any questions, Akira remains focused on his training. He tells her he's got his hands full, and that she should just tell him what he needs to know, when he needs to know it. Pleased with his response, Alpha stands tall and prepares to lay out their next steps, including the details of his training regimen. She outlines his new life, one trip into the ruins per week. The rest of his time will be spent in rigorous combat training or studying, starting with the very basics of learning to read and write. From the comfort of his new life to the simple joy of a hot bath, Akira has a lot to fight for. As he sleeps, Alpha promises her full support, encouraging him to keep up with the intense training ahead. During one of his study sessions, Akira suddenly remembers an old annoyance, the fact that his name is misspelled on his official hunter ID card. He pulls out the card, which reads Akira. He can finally read the mistake himself. Alpha, now his tutor, points out that this proves he's learning, and Akira can't help but smile. Time passes. Out in the desolate wasteland, the sound of constant gunfire echoes through the ruins as Akira's training continues. His aim has improved dramatically. Alpha praises his progress, noting he's no longer an amateur. Impressed, she decides it's time to move on to the next phase. Suddenly, a monstrous weapon dog appears out of nowhere, its eyes glowing with malice. Akira is caught completely off guard, his eyes wide with shock. Before he can react, the beast lunges. In a horrifying simulation, the dog tears him to shreds, and Akira screams in simulated agony. Just as quickly, the gruesome scene vanishes. Alpha calmly tells him to relax, explaining that the monster was just a projection, like her, to train him for sudden encounters. To hammer the point home, Alpha projects a gruesome image of Akira's own mangled corpse. She warns him that if he panics in a real fight, he will die, just like this image. The grim lesson sinks in. Her words are harsh but necessary. She tells him to shoot precisely at a monster's weakest points. He has to assume that if he misses, he dies. There is no room for error. Surrounded by visions of his own death, Akira's eyes sharpen with cold determination. He takes his training with deadly seriousness, knowing his life is on the line. After a grueling session, Alpha suddenly calls a halt to practice, alerting him that someone is approaching. Exhausted, Akira grabs his binoculars to get a look. He spots two female hunters in a vehicle. He worries they're after him, but Alpha believes they're just passing through on their way to the Kuzuhara town ruins. She suggests they head there too, just in case, since escaping their current position would be difficult. A rugged jeep tears across the wasteland, kicking up a cloud of dust as it speeds toward the distant ruins. Inside, we meet two new hunters. Elena, a focused woman with short, dark hair, is driving. She asks her partner, a blonde woman in a hood named Sarah, how she's feeling. Elena voices her concern, noting that the nanomachine reserves in Sarah's chest, which she needs for life support, are running dangerously low. Sarah reassures her, saying they should be fine since they chose a safer ruin this time. Their money is tight, and their scanners are broken. Sarah worries, but Elena is determined, saying they have to bet on the rumors of relics being true. If it doesn't work, she promises to sell her own gear to buy Sarah a refill. Back at the ruins, Akira is surprised to see even more hunters gathering. He wonders why the area is suddenly so crowded, and Alpha tells him it's time for them to move. He watches as other hunters inspect a monster corpse, talking about a rumor that a kid from the slums found valuable relics here. With a jolt, Akira realizes they're talking about him. Akira asks if hunters really fall for gossip like that. Alpha explains that this area was thought to be picked clean. The fact that a child found something valuable here makes other hunters believe it's worth a second look, and she urges him to move again. From their perch atop a ruined building, Akira asks Alpha for an update on the chaotic situation below. Akira watches through his binoculars as Alpha reports that most of the hunters, realizing the rumors were baseless, are finally giving up and leaving the area. Akira sighs in relief, glad to avoid another fight. But Alpha warns him not to relax just yet. The two female hunters, Elaine and Sarah, are still around, and she notes they are capable enough to pick up his trail at any moment. Akira asks how she can tell. Alpha explains that a dangerous phenomenon known as the colorless fog is thickening. While other hunters are wisely pulling out, those two are pressing onward, a clear sign they might be in trouble. The term is new to Akira. He turns to Alpha with a curious look, asking her what she means by colorless fog. Alpha explains that the fog is a major hazard. It blocks wireless communication, sound, and smell, disrupting both machines and living creatures. Even worse, it causes firearms to lose power and accuracy, making them nearly useless. Suddenly, a huge explosion rips through a nearby building, startling Akira. He quickly looks through his binoculars, asking Alpha what that was. Alpha identifies a large monster, stirred up by the other hunters, and notes it's heading directly for Elena and Sarah. Seeing the danger, Akira immediately suggests they leave, and Alpha agrees. Down below, Elena and Sarah are struggling. Sarah apologizes, her scanning abilities hampered by the fog. They know they should have pulled out sooner, but now a monster's roar echoes right behind them. Elena tries to calm Sarah down, but their conversation is cut short by the sound of gunfire. They realize they've stumbled into a fight. As rubble crumbles around them, Elena asks for a scan. Sarah uses her equipment and is shocked to detect 8 other hunters and a monster nearby. They watch as the group of hunters wildly fire at the beast. Sarah shouts that they're crazy. They aren't killing it, they're just making it angrier. Elena realizes the horrifying truth. The hunters aren't trying to bring the monster down. They're trying to use it to attack someone. The chaos is a trap, and they've walked right into it. Knowing they'll be caught in the crossfire if they hesitate, Elena decides to act. She tells Sarah she's going to take the monster out herself, convinced she just needs one clear shot. Wielding a massive anti-material rifle, Elena plants her feet and takes aim, shouting at the other hunters to clear the way. With a powerful blast, her shot finds its mark, and the monster's head explodes in a gruesome shower of blood and bone. Bullseye! The monster is dead. But the other hunters don't stop. They continue to charge forward, running right past them. As the hunters run by, Elena notices that they threw something. A small, dark object clatters on the ground right in front of them. Their eyes widen in horror. It's a grenade, and it has just been armed. With no time to think, Elena screams Sarah's name and throws herself forward, tackling her partner to the ground and shielding her with her own body just as the grenade is about to explode. A massive explosion rips through the ruins, kicking up a huge cloud of dust and debris, engulfing everything in chaos. In the aftermath, Elena and Sarah lie motionless on the ground. Elena took the full force of the blast to protect her partner, while Sarah is knocked unconscious but seemingly unharmed. As the smoke clears, the rival hunters who set the trap emerge from the haze. Their work done, they walk away without a backward glance, leaving the two women for dead in the rubble. In a grand, sunlit room, a young woman with dark hair rests in a large, canopied bed, recovering from a past battle. Her name is Elena. As she lies unconscious, connected to a respirator, her friend Sarah arrives, taking her hand. Elena weakly stirs, recognizing her friend's presence. Sarah, filled with hope, tells her that the advanced Eastern medicine she brought should be able to control her condition using nanomachines, strengthening her at a cellular level. Sometime later, Elena has recovered. She explains that her chest had to be modified into nanomachine storage. Sarah can't help but tease her friend about the unexpected bonus that came with the procedure. The scene flashes back to the violent incident that started it all. In the ruins of a city, Sarah is thrown to the ground, looking up in shock as enemy hunters suddenly surround her. A grenade explodes, and the blast sends both her and Elena flying through the air. Landing hard amongst the rubble, the two friends cry out each other's names, separated in the chaos. Seeing Sarah in danger, Elena leaps to her feet, pulling out her twin pistols to face the approaching thugs. She launches herself into the air, gracefully dodging and firing back at her attackers with precise shots. As she lands, she realizes her nanomachines are severely depleted. Shielding her friend from the grenade blast took almost everything she had. Back in the present, the situation is dire. Akira, who had gotten separated from Elena, finds her friend Sarah being held at gunpoint. The thugs demand he surrender, but Sarah defiantly tells him to forget about her and fight. From behind cover, Akira watches as the thugs taunt him, trying to lure him out by threatening Sarah's life. The thugs mention they were drawn by rumors of a slum kid finding relics. Akira is torn. If he ignores them, Sarah will die. But what can he do? The lead thug makes his demand clear. Drop the weapons, and he might spare their lives. Growing impatient, one of the thugs yanks Sarah's hair back and cocks his gun, ready to end it all. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, Akira throws his equipment to the ground with a clatter, shouting for them to wait. Sarah looks on in despair as Akira walks out from his cover, raising his hands in surrender. But this is all part of his plan. As he walks forward, Akira knows that their guard is down. If he could just get close enough, he's strong enough to take them all out, even barehanded. The leader of the thugs, amazed that Akira survived a grenade blast, mistakenly believes he's wearing an expensive powered suit and demands he take it off. Akira quickly realizes his luck. The thug thinks all his power comes from external armor, completely unaware that he is physically augmented. Seizing the opportunity, Akira calmly agrees to the demand. He begins to strip off the suit, revealing his lean, augmented body underneath. His eyes are locked on the thugs, a cold promise of what's to come. They believe they've won, but they've just made their last mistake. The thugs burst into laughter, mocking Elena's lean, muscular build now that her suit is off. They jeer that she's flat and looks like a man, completely underestimating the danger she poses. In the present, the memory of their words makes Sarah snap. She screams at the thugs to shut up, telling them they have no idea what her friend has been through. Her outburst catches Akira's attention as he hears her cry out Elena's name. Back in the flashback, Elena confirms she's taken off the suit. The thug leader, with a smug grin, orders her to walk slowly toward him. Her eyes, however, are filled with cold fury. Suddenly, 2 shots ring out, and Elena screams in pain. Her legs have been shot, not by the thugs in front of her, but by someone else. Elena collapses, and her scream echoes through the ruins. Sarah and the thugs are all stunned, wondering who fired the shots. The leader of the thugs who ambushed them reveals his cunning. He tells his men that he knew she had nanomachine augments, making her as strong as someone in a powered suit. He shot her himself to neutralize the threat. Enraged and seeing her chance, Sarah finally breaks free in the present, landing a powerful blow on the thug who was holding her. In the flashback, Sarah rushes to Elena's side, trying to shield her friend. But the thugs close in, knowing that healing such severe injuries will burn through the last of Elena's nanomachines, leaving her helpless. Lying on the ground, her strength fading, Elena looks up at Sarah and apologizes, believing she has failed. As the gang of thugs surrounds the two girls, a colorless fog begins to roll in, limiting visibility. The leader tells his men to finish their business quickly. The leader and his men roar with laughter, savoring their victory over the two hunters. In an instant, his laughter is cut short as a high-caliber bullet tears through his skull, silencing him forever. Panic erupts among the thugs. They're under attack from an unknown enemy. Another one of them is shot down as Sarah protects a terrified Elena. The sniper has made their move. The rifle that Akira had discarded earlier now lies on the ground, its purpose fulfilled. Thinking they are being attacked by allies of the girls, one of the remaining thugs grabs the injured Elena, using her as a human shield. Sarah, filled with adrenaline, seizes the opportunity. She grabs her attacker's gun and unloads the entire clip into another thug. The hail of bullets rips through the thugs, who curse as they are taken down by the ferocity of her counterattack. With a brief moment to breathe, Sarah and Elena look towards a ruined building in the distance, seeing a glint of light. They wonder who is out there sniping their enemies. From a high vantage point, their mysterious savior is revealed. It's Akira, his eyes glowing with focus as he lines up his next shot. Akira calmly assesses the battlefield, asking his AI support, Alpha, for a status update. Her voice rings in his head, 3 dead, 5 to go. With 5 enemies left, Alpha gives Akira his orders. Keep moving. She tells him to follow her instructions precisely, sniping from different positions. By staying mobile within the colorless fog, he'll be impossible for them to track. The remaining thugs are in a full-blown panic, unable to figure out where the shots are coming from. Alpha notes that in the dense fog, they might as well be fighting blindfolded. Akira takes aim at his next target. Another headshot. The thug's companion screams in terror as his partner is violently taken out right next to him. While the battle rages, Sarah does her best to shield the injured Elena from the stray bullets. From his perch, Akira listens to Alpha's voice in his head, reminding him that he's dead if he gets caught, but with her guidance, victory is certain. Akira asks for his next position, but he gets no response. He turns around, confused, to see Alpha standing right behind him, a stunning, holographic girl that only he can see. The fight is momentarily forgotten as Alpha confronts him. She asks if he regrets helping the women, stating that while she doesn't mind altruism, she senses something more is going on. She pins him against a wall, her tone turning sharp. She reminds him of their deal and the job he has to do for her. She questions why he would expose himself to mortal danger for a pair of complete strangers. Alpha makes herself crystal clear. She'll be in deep trouble if he dies before fulfilling his contract. Akira, sweating under the pressure, finally gets it. Her help is an advance payment. If he dies, he's essentially stealing from her. With the lecture over, they get back to business. Alpha tells him to finish off the last of the thugs before the colorless fog lifts. Akira agrees, spotting the final targets running in the distance. After the last thug falls, the battle is over. Alpha presses Akira for an explanation. Why did he suddenly change his mind and decide to rescue them? Akira just apologizes for the trouble and says it's time to go home. Akira finally gives his reasons. First, it was a practical matter. Leaving the thugs alive meant they could become a threat later. Second, he adds with a slight smile. He figured that since he used up all his luck meeting her, helping someone else might give him a much-needed boost. But Alpha sees right through his excuses. She recalls that Akira didn't care at all when she told him a monster was attacking the women. His attitude changed completely the moment she mentioned it was these specific men. She comes to a chilling realization. Slaughtering them was always his plan. He didn't kill the men to save the women. He saved the women to give himself a reason to kill the men. Alpha understands now. Akira is driven by intense, negative emotions, and she knows she must be careful to never let that burning hatred be turned on her. With the gunfire stopped, Sarah checks on Elena. Her nanomachines have closed the bullet wounds, but she's in no shape to walk. Seeing that the coast is clear, Sarah decides to investigate who their mysterious savior was. Sarah tells Elena she'll be right back and dashes off. At the same time, Alpha warns Akira that one of the rescued women is following them. Akira immediately asks if he can lose her by running. Akira decides to leave a message instead of running. While Alpha points out Sarah's location, he kneels and begins scratching a message onto a piece of debris. He weighs the note down with a spare rifle cartridge and tosses it over the wall. The message is a crudely written warning: stay away. Sarah is startled when the object lands nearby. Sarah picks up the strange message. She calls out, thanking the person who helped them and pleading for more assistance for her injured friend. But there's no reply. She's left staring at the note, wondering if the bullet was a weight or a threat. Before she can process the warning, another item is tossed over the wall, a canister of medicine. As Sarah wonders what to do, Akira and Alpha are already walking away, leaving the girls and the medicine behind. Thanks to the medicine, Elena is back on her feet. She thanks Sarah for her help, who is just relieved that the high-end recovery capsules worked. As they make their way through the ruins, they wonder about their mysterious savior. Sarah can't believe someone would just give away such expensive medicine. Looking out at the desolate city, she makes a promise to the sky. She doesn't know who he is, but she will find him and repay this debt. A few days later, back in Kagamaima City, Akira is at the relic exchange. The officer behind the counter notes that this is the 10th batch of relics he successfully brought in. The officer calls him by the wrong name, Akira. Akira quickly corrects him, explaining that his name is Akira and it was misspelled on his hunter ID. The officer smiles, telling him that today's his chance to finally fix it. He hands Akira a card and a map, directing him to the massive Kagama building to fill out some paperwork. The officer shakes his head in disbelief, amazed that a kid from the slums has made it this far. As Akira heads out, the officer wishes him well. Alpha explains that the building is a major economic hub and a waypoint between the inner and outer cities, run by the municipal government. Stepping inside the main hunter office, Akira is completely stunned. It's nothing like the small branch offices he's used to. The hall is filled with powerful, intimidating hunters clad in high-performance suits and augmentations. Alpha tells him these hunters are a cut above the rest. He makes his way through the crowd, with Alpha floating by his side. He approaches the central information desk, a massive, glowing cylinder of data, and presents the card he was given. The receptionist greets him, but once again uses the wrong name, Mr. Akira. Akira nervously apologizes and explains that his name is Akira, but it was registered incorrectly. After fixing the error, the receptionist smiles warmly. Well then, Mr. Akira, she says, congratulations on your promotion to Hunter Rank 10. Akira is shocked by the news. He didn't even know what a Hunter rank was. Alpha explains that because he kept bringing in valuable relics, he's finally being recognized as a real, official hunter, which comes with privileges like access to confidential jobs and high-end gear. The receptionist begins the formal process, asking him to state the name he wishes to register. He looks at her, his expression serious, and says, Akira. She explains that this procedure will upgrade his registration from provisional to permanent, filling in the blanks in their records. A name, she says, is an important piece of personal information, reflecting one's family, culture, and status. The weight of her words hangs in the air. For a boy with no past, this is a defining moment. She asks him if he is absolutely certain he wants to register his name as simply Akira. His mind flashes back to the slums. He has no family, not even a memory. He has always been on his own. The name Akira is the only thing he's ever truly possessed. With newfound resolve, he looks the receptionist in the eye. "My name is Akira. Please enter it like that." Both the receptionist and Alpha smile, recognizing the gravity of his choice. With the registration complete, Akira leaves the building, now an official rank 10 hunter. He admits to Alpha that it hasn't quite sunk in yet, and that he owes it all to her. Alpha smugly agrees that her support made it all possible. He holds up his new hunter ID card with a grin. Before this, he had nothing to prove his own existence. This card is his first step. Alpha warmly congratulates him. Later, back in his room, Akira inspects the new data terminal he bought. He's startled to see a tiny version of Alpha appear on the screen, who casually informs him she's already rewritten the device's software from scratch to better integrate her support. Akira panics as Alpha lists the terminal's vital functions for maps, jobs, and market info. It's brain overload. Alpha cuts him short. She points out that he spent all his money on the terminal and asks if that's a problem, because ready or not, their work in the ruins continues tomorrow. Alpha lays out the next phase of his training. Since his marksmanship has improved, it's time to work on his navigation and scouting skills. Without her help, tomorrow, he has to act like she isn't even there. Akira is horrified at the thought. He nervously asks if it's even safe to go into the ruins without her support. Alpha's answer is firm. That's exactly why he needs the training. And so, his solo training begins. Out on the desolate edge of the Kusahara town ruins, Akira is truly on his own for the first time. He's passed through this area countless times before, but without Alpha's advanced senses guiding him, it feels like a completely different, more threatening place. He carefully scans the ruins with binoculars, making sure no monsters are lurking before he dares to move forward. After checking his terminal for the safest possible route, he breaks from cover, dashing across the open ground with his rifle at the ready. An hour later, he's exhausted and has made barely any progress. He's overwhelmed by the number of danger zones and blind spots. Without Alpha, if he misses even one lurking enemy, his life is over. The ruins are just that dangerous on his own. After the intense session, he returns to the bustling slums, wobbling with exhaustion. Alpha consoles him, reminding him that there's no pain without gain, and scouting will get easier once he can afford proper gear. The experience was a harsh lesson. Akira realizes he's dependent on Alpha's support far more than he thought. He can't let her do everything for him. He then notices the haul of relics from his training is larger than usual, and Alpha mentions she upped the difficulty a bit now that he's a real hunter. A small, confident smile crosses his face. All the work it took to get to rank 10 was worth it. He's finally seeing the rewards. But his moment of satisfaction is shattered. Alpha's voice cuts through, sharp and urgent. "Akira, we're surrounded." His eyes narrow, his body tenses, and he immediately springs into action. A large slum gang swarms the alleyways, shouting and pointing. They found their target. Their leader yells for them to circle around and cut off his escape. Akira curses his luck. The rumors of a kid from the slums carrying valuable relics have made him a target. To these gangs, he's not a person. He's a walking wallet, and he knows this is a problem that won't go away on its own. "Can I take them?" he asks. Alpha agrees. She tells him to pick them off one by one until they learn that attacking him doesn't pay. But she gives him one order. If she decides he's in real danger, he must do exactly as she says. He agrees. He's in no rush to die. As the first gangster comes into view, Akira reflects on his new career. He thought being a hunter meant fighting monsters, but so far, it feels like all he's done is kill people. Whether it's a thug or a beast, they both want him dead for their own reasons. He doesn't see much of a difference. With that grim thought, he pulls the trigger. The first shot finds its mark, and a brutal firefight begins. The gangsters are shocked. They heard he was just some punk, but he's fighting back with lethal precision. As bodies start to drop, a young girl named Cheryl is caught in the crossfire, and another thug is silenced mid-sentence by a bullet to the head. Cheryl screams in terror as the battle erupts around her. A dying thug collapses at her feet, splattering her dress with blood. She tries to flee, but she's trapped in the middle of the carnage. Amidst the chaos and gunfire, Her terrified eyes meet Akira's. She sees a boy her age, but his cold, focused expression is that of a killer as he continues his grim work, turning the alley into a graveyard.